we do have identify what are the possible critical success for factors. So first, again, it's very clear that there should be a clear-cut organizational context inside our cybersecurity management system. Leadership should be properly outlined, possible job responsibilities, and of course, information security management should be included in the planning phase, always in the planning phase. And of course, lastly, full support from the top administration. It is very clear that we should have full support from the top administration. Proper operations, a properly documented step-by-step operations in the implementation of our properly step-by-step informations in reference to standards. And of course, if we do have clear-cut step-by-step operations with reference to standards, we continually to evaluate. We do evaluate our performance. It is very important that we should know what is happening or what we are doing is in the right direction. And of course, the evaluation, we might be able to identify some room for improvement. There will always be for improvement. As it is stated in the ISO, there should always be continuous improvement, especially in the process. So there will always be new process that we could work on to improve our operations every now and then. At the end of the day, what is important is we may be able to get the objectives with cross-reference to our mission and vision of the organization. So that's for the critical success factors inside the information security management system. Then we do have focus on the information security controls. So what are those areas that we need to focus on security controls? So number one, information security policies. As I've said, it should be in place. It should have clear-cut policies. It is a step-by-step. It is very clear that what objectives are we in. And then if we do have security policies, we have organization of information security. As what we have discussed, it should not be just in the cybersecurity unit. It must reflect to the rest of the organization. And then, of course, after the organization, we are trying to look at the best assets of the organization. It's the human resource. So awareness is still a very much critical because we need to inform everybody, and the cooperation of everybody is very important. Then, asset management, we need to identify uh, what are those assets, because by identifying all those assets, we could try to get the risk, identify the risk, possible risk. In that way, if we will be able to identify risk, evaluate, then we could formulate control. So a while ago, we discussed that uh, control is also modified every now and then because risk in terms of assets is also changing every now and then. So medyo flexible tayo in terms of control uh, because risks are also flexible in its occurrence to the information management system. Then we have the cryptography. No? This is very much in at this point because most of the payment methods are done using cryptographic way. So especially when we do transact business, payments are done using the cryptographic way. So this is one of the most important security controls. That's why it is included in the security management system. So later on, I think government will also be moving into the cryptographic way or the digital way of pay or accepting digital way of payment. So this is very important because it involves a lot of financial implications. Then, number seven, we do have the physical and environmental security. This is in terms of the physical ICT infrastructures that we have. Who are those persons who are allowed to enter the facilities? Who are those persons who are allowed to access the physical infrastructure that we have? And of course, not just physical, we have the environmental, free from nature, floods, calamities. No, it's still part of security measures that we need to work on. And then operations. So who takes care of the operations? Who are able to access? So very clear who should be given the authority, even the top management has again could access, but then there should be proper documentation of the logs. Then the most important is the communication security. When we do communicate, how secure are our lines? If we try to use VPN, that's good, but it's quite expensive applications. But then communications, this is where external breaches or threats that are happening. So we must take a look at that also. The system acquisition, development, and maintenance. When we do acquire hardware, software, or applications, we should make sure that it is also in adherence with the information security policies that we have in terms, or if we develop our systems or applications, we have the standards to check what are the possible things that we need to include to make sure it is adhering with our policies. And of course, there are proper maintenance should be continuously improved since we are in a development phase. We continually maintain and of course try to align the security measures to improve also the security measures. Then it is listed supplier relationship. Uh, we must make sure the suppliers of our equipments, applications, or softwares also adhere with the standards. No, so with the standards and policies, so that we are also safe. They are also safe from all concerns. Then we have the information security incident management. So we need to document the management, the incident that might happen when breaches or attacks for documentation purposes so that we could try to realign what are the possible solutions that we are trying to work on. Then, then we have the business continuity or the operations continuity. We must make sure that our operations should continually work with no disruptions at all because downtime means financial loss. So, and of course, for us in the government, it could provide a lot of complaints, especially with the stakeholders or our clientele. So we must make sure that proper control should be done, especially with the operations. That's why a while ago, Sir Aguirre uh, noted in his in the level of risk as high because most of the threats that were identified or most of the risks that were identified are this or will be disrupting the operations. So business continuity or operations continuity is really very crucial. And then we have to make sure that our policies and regulations should comply with the existing laws and standards. It is not just for our own good or for our own personal purpose, but for the organizational purpose, and then complying with no non-compliance in terms of standards, and of course, very importantly, with the law that we have in our country or policies in our country. So we will try to cross-reference it with our the security controls that I have listed a while ago. We will try to cross-reference it with the information security management system in terms of CIS, no? The Center for Internet Security. So number one, we have the inventory control and hardware control in order for us to make sure that information security policies are in place. So, and then of course we have the organization of information security. Still, the solution for that is that inventory and control of hard of assets of in terms of applications. So again, inventory and control of these assets are very crucial because this will identify what are those possible risks. Then for number three, we have human source security, continuous vulnerability management. So every employee is vulnerable in terms of information security inside the organization. That's why there's continuous vulnerability and continuous awareness. Controlled use of administrative privileges. It doesn't mean that we are privileged enough because we are the top administration. However, it should be controlled, and of course, it must be properly logged because a lot of cases that have happened is that there are abuses also from top administration in terms of privileges in information security. Okay, and then next is the secure configuration for hardware software on mobile devices, laptops, workstations, and servers. That is in terms of asset control. So we must configure all those equipments that are being used inside the organization. There should be a policy regarding that in terms of the access of data because it might be the gateway of those threats and attacks. Then number six, maintenance, monitoring, and analysis of audit logs. So when we do maintain the security information management system, we continue to monitor, we continually to update, to upgrade, to maintain, for us to be updated on also the security measures. That's why update of the security viruses, the firewalls, the firmwares with our vendors is very crucial. That's why when we do procure equipment, it is not just a one-time deal. We always try to look at the after sales. No? They continually to provide us updates of the firmwares or applications that would help us achieve our goal in terms of cybersecurity. And then, of course, the analysis of audit logs. We try to audit the logs of those who are given access to the network. What are the activities that they are doing inside the network? Because in that way, we may be able to see if it has breached or if it has crossed the line in terms of data security. Then we have the email and web browser protections, where very most common breaches attacks. Uh, Most emails are sent to you that are containing spams, which provides us link, and then when we do click those links, it automatically installs all those spywares. And those spywares will now be the gateway of all the data theft inside your device or inside the organization. And of course, web browser protections. We must make sure antiviruses, firewalls. We must be careful of those sites, websites that we are accessing, because those sites are very vulnerable uh, in terms of spamming, wherein uh, they provide a link automatically, and so we are if we are not aware of all those things, again, that might be the source of all those things. Malware defenses. So again, from firewalls, it could be solved by the firewalls, antiviruses that we have made. Limitation and control of network ports, protocol, and services. Yes, that's very true. We must limit and put a control to all network ports, protocols, and services. What are the possible? If it is possible, we must try to check social medias that would not be easily accessed by the employees, or probably limited access, especially in terms of websites, so that or probably limited access to those websites that are not, or we can identify some crucial websites that contains a lot of spamming and other source of gateway for internet attacks. Then, of course, we must make sure of the data recovery. We cannot allow that one day we will wake up, all our files are lost. So data recovery must be conducted every now and then to provide continuous improvement, no, of our security measures.